I was a camper at YMCA Camp Wichiwagan in northern Minnesota. And I think I was 13. The camp was a boys' camp, and they just had started taking girls. And I think they might have been a little bit afraid of girls because when we went out on the canoe trip, we were 4 13-year-olds and 2 female counselors and 2 male canoe guides who carried the canoe. So that meant the ratio was 1 to 1. When I finished college, the camp offered me a job. Camp Wichiwagan offered me a job. It was to be the secretary, but I didn't type, and I didn't think I'd like that job, so I didn't accept it. I wanted to work more directly with people and with kids. So I worked with the Girl Scouts for a few years and ended up directing camp and also working overseas with them. When I came back, I looked for a job in the Y, and I looked for a job in doing international programming. And what I found was there was an opening at the National Y to direct the International Camp Counselor Program, which is a very young program at that time. I applied for it, and they asked me if I had a Y reference, and I gave the name of Whitey Lures, who was my camp director. And Whitey was at that point the National Director of Camping, so he was well positioned, and he's famous in the Y anyway. And so that was like magic, using his name, so I get the job. So I started in 1970. I moved to New York City and started working in January 1970. Okay, well, I started running the International Camp Counselor Program, bringing international students to work in summer camps all across the country. And that program expanded. Soon we were sending Americans overseas, and we were also bringing students from other countries, not just Europe, but Japan, Africa, all parts of Asia. So the program itself expanded. And then we started doing other programs. We had trainees who came here for up to 18 months. Some of them went to Y of the Rockies and other Ys where they trained in there for that period of time. We did lots of exchanges, special ones with Mexico, with teens going overseas, a program called Global Teens. We did programs with the then Soviet Union to try to keep the Y name going in that part of the world. All of us have potential to be good, but that needs to be encouraged, and the Y does that. And if there isn't an outside force that helps support the best that we can be, then sometimes people, fall off the road. And I think, so the YMCA has the potential of bringing out the best in people, and when the Y at the local or national or international level focus on the fact that we are a one world, we only have this one little earth to live on, and that we have to share it, and we share it with people who are like us. If the Y can teach that to people, they learn respect, they learn trust, they learn to be good world citizens. I think all new YMCAs and all people who are new to the Y should know that the YMCA did not start in the USA. I think somehow we think it's ours, but it isn't. It started in England, and they should know that there are Ys in other parts of the world. Unfortunately, I believe there are some YMCAs that either don't know this or they don't tell their members that, and they have no idea that there are Ys in over 120 countries. And they miss a connection that's so important. And if they knew that, and if they were given ways to understand that, I think it would make daily news more understandable. It would make it possible for people to sympathize more with situations in other parts of the world. I don't think we'd have quite the kind of hatred we have about difference in this country. I think there'd be more sympathy perhaps for, let's say, the people from Latin America who are trying to come to the USA. So it's not a big message, but I wish every Y had a tagline that said, "We are the Y in Culver City, Nevada," or wherever. And we are part of a worldwide movement of over 100 countries. But if they all said that on all their materials, somehow I think the message would get out, and they would realize that they're part of something much bigger than they ever thought. In the field of camping, I know when the change happened. It was in 1973. Right around that time, there was an economic downturn in this country, and YMCA's were having a hard time filling their camps. Families couldn't afford to send children to camp, their boys to camp, so they thought what to do, and some of them said, aha, what if we took girls? And that would help us fill the camp. So I thought it was a good programmatic step, but it was partly driven by economics and not entirely by commitment to serving girls. But they did a good job. You know, the program they offered was excellent, but it was sort of an economic push rather than the real commitment to let's offer this to our boys' sisters. So it's been gradual. I think it hasn't been steady. It's been push, 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 like that. But when you look today at the YMCA, you see that there are women in all positions. National presidents, world president, executives in many parts of the country. I think the first one did come out, but I just want to say it again. I'm very proud of the things that our unit and our staff and volunteers accomplished. And I say that because the YMCA of Greater New York closed the branch and closed down many of the programs that we ran about 6 years after I retired. And I know they did it because they were worried about risk. They didn't feel comfortable anymore operating programs that took place in other parts of the country, you know, outside the borders of the New York City YMCA. And though I understand that, I didn't agree with it, and I'm still sad about it. But I look at it now as if, like YMCA in basketball, I mean, the YMCA created basketball, but it let it go. The world owns basketball now, and that can be true of international exchange. I mean, the YMCA doesn't own it, and we had a good run, 100 years of focusing particularly on international students, and now maybe it's okay to be focusing on immigrants and new citizens and some other aspects of international work.